So this week I was going to present a new type of planner. So this idea was proposed by Sean, and we worked on this in parallel to our main work regarding Semantic Kernel SDK. So we agreed that we are going to research this area and see the possibilities. And then if we will have some results, we will proceed with the research, and maybe we'll have some another good planner for the user. So I just wanted to describe a little bit how it looks like. So currently we have action planner, sequential planner, and stepwise planner. And basically, the idea here is to introduce a new planner which is based on the PowerShell script. And in theory, it can be any other programming language like JavaScript or Python, but we decided to start with PowerShell. So the idea here is that if we have if we take our current planners, basically they generate some plan in XML format, right? And then we parse it and execute it. So in this case, the idea here is to generate the plan by using PowerShell syntax. And I have a demonstration how it works. So I have a console application, and I have a goal to write a poem about John Doe and then translate it into Italian. So if I open the results from this console application execution, I can see my goal here, and then I can see original plan, which is basically PowerShell script. So the first line is we define some poem variable. There is this invoke REST method with some URI, and I will explain what does it mean later. We have method post, and we have body with some input, and the input is John Doe. And then the next variable is translated poem, which is very similar syntax, but in this case we use another function, and we have a little bit different body, which contains poem generated on the previous step as input, and then we have language Italian. And as a result, we have this translated poem. So what does it mean? Basically, that in PowerShell, there is an ability to invoke some REST methods by providing some URI and method type like get or post, and then a body, right? And if you look at it, it's very similar to the flow how we execute our functions, right? So we have some input, we have a function name, we want to execute it, and we get some result basically. And the question here is like, okay, we generate this plan, we execute it. What is the advantage, right? And I'm going to show you the advantage, one of the big advantages by using application insights, and also it's another small showcase what we added last week basically. So now in telemetry we can see how many tokens we used for each function execution. So basically every time we send some request to OpenAI, and if we configured our telemetry host previously, and in this case I'm using application insights, we'll be able to see token amounts in logs. For example, here I can, so first of all, I have this operation ID, I can copy it, and here I already predefined some queries. And here I can see that for plan generation, if we take, for example, a sequential planner, it used like 2032 tokens, right? And then if we compare it with PowerShell planner, we can see that, so it's the same goal and the same plan basically, but by using two functions. So in this case, we used like 1,553 tokens. So the first advantage here is less amount of tokens in something between like 23 and 25%, which is a good advantage, I would say. And the reason for this is basically that we don't need to teach AI how to generate PowerShell script, right? So in terms of XML, for example, AI doesn't know we have a goal, and AI doesn't know what we want to achieve, how we want to achieve this goal, in what way, and we tell AI like we need to generate this XML plan, and here are the examples how to generate it. Do this, don't do that, and etc. But in case of PowerShell, we just say to AI like, hey, I have this goal. Please generate me PowerShell script which will allow me to achieve this goal. And here, basically, here's the list of my available functions. And that's basically it. So the prompt to AI to generate this plan is smaller, which means that we will use a less amount of tokens. And by the way, beside the token information in logs, we can also compare our token usage in telemetry. So we have different metrics like prompt tokens, which means that how much tokens we use to send prompt to AI. Then we have completion tokens, which means that how much tokens we AI spent to generate a response. And then we have total tokens, right? So we can configure this view as well. So this is the first big advantage, right? The smaller amount of tokens. And the second one is that taking into account that it's PowerShell script, in theory, what we can do, we can just take it and then execute it in PowerShell runtime, which means that what it can do basically, taking into account that PowerShell syntax supports like if conditions or for loops, for example, we can handle pretty advanced scenarios here, but it's not implemented in initial version of this planner. So this is the area we still need to research. But basically, what we can do here, in case we have this generated PowerShell script, we can rename this invoke REST method to invoke kernel function, for example. And then we basically define a new commandlet, which is PowerShell function, right? And say that, okay, we have this function, we have these parameters, we parse skill name, function name, and we have our arguments, right? And that's basically it. So we can take the script, we can then put it in PowerShell runtime, and we can execute it. And of course, there are some security concerns. For example, we need to define some security checks that we don't want to run any other functions than this function, for example, because we don't want to run a script which will delete your files on the computer, right? And also there are some compatibility issues because PowerShell runtime is not available in all operating systems. But with this type of planner, we can achieve some cost advantages, as well as we can try to handle some advanced scenarios. So this is pretty much it. And this is just initial work. More testing is needed, and we will definitely investigate like what is possible with it.